So I was given this PlayStation 3 in a pile of pieces. Told that it suffered from the yellow light of death multiple times, and that's why it was given up on. Well, I've never taken apart a PlayStation 3 before, but how hard could it be? Get all these pieces out. This is the power button and the eject button. Seems important. I'm not sure what this is. It's the Wi-Fi card or something, maybe? I don't know. Like I said, I've never taken apart a PlayStation before. Fortunately, a lot of the taking it apart work is already done. Let's see, power, data. I'm not even sure if all the parts are even here at this point. Potentially. Looks like this clip here was broken. Looks like it was taped in. No big deal. Take this tape off. I'm not even sure where this would connect to. This is clearly the power and ground. So I guess we go back here. The ground and power goes into here. So this must be the power supply. Looks like it sits here on this. There's a connection here. Okay. So this is 5 wires and that's 5 pins. Must go here, makes sense. And this looks like these are the clamps that hold the heat sink to the board. This looks like the Wi-Fi antenna. I believe that plugs into right here, it looks like. This board comes out. Clips here. Looks like this whole board just lifts out. Alright. So set that off to the side. Over here with the other lid. So I'm pretty sure the yellow light is related to a heat issue. If I'm not mistaken. So we'll try just repasting the CPU and see if that makes anything happen. Obviously I haven't tried this. I'm trusting that it doesn't work since it's in pieces. If I take the clamps off, does this whole board come off? Seems unlikely. I don't think taking the fan off is going to take anything free. It looks like these plastic clips might be holding something down. Alright, so I'm going to take the clamps off. Well, I would. I see this one's been stripped out and drilled, it looks like. That might be tricky to get out. We can take the other ones off and then worry about the last one there. Perfect. Alright, so that came out no problem. The stripped out one though is going to be a problem. So I see like no heatsink compound on these. I presume it must be on the other side. I don't know, it's quite interesting. Again, I don't know anything about these. So I would think that the heatsink is probably above the fan. Or sorry, under the fan when it's this way. Yeah, I can see the heatsink there. So these pads must just be to protect the board from all the pressure. This is lifting off, with the exception of the stripped out screw. So if we can't get that guy loose. Oh, it's really in there. There we go, freed it up at least. Does this board lift off now? It seems like it might. Wasn't for this wire. Aha. Alright, does this board lift off? It does not seem to. Presume the fan is somehow related to things here. I'm not 100% sure how this board is being held on. I guess we can take the fan off and see what's underneath. It's a little dusty too. I guess we can give it a clean. I'm not even sure we need to take the fan off at this point. Which is good because I'm not sure it's going to come off. Well, there's the heatsink right underneath. This fan is not super dirty, but could use a clean. Now, looks like this just lifts off. Ah, yes, there we go. There are the heatsinks, and that is some very, very dried up thermal paste on there. Interesting way Sony has constructed things. Alright, so let's clean off this horribly like dried out and cracking thermal paste and see what we can do from there. But okay, things look pretty clean. Let's crack open our thermal paste and apply some here. I'll just grab whatever I have lying around. This is Noctua thermal paste, and TH1. I think it's got a cap on it. So a lot of YouTubers don't actually show them putting the thermal paste on because everybody has their own preferred way of doing things. And there may or may not be a right way to do it. So I'll just do this, kind of my favorite for these bigger dies. It should ensure pretty good coverage, I think. Maybe a little more here. And we're out of Noctua paste, so we're going to mix and match with a little Arctic Silver, which I have lots of. I don't think there's any harm in mixing thermal paste types. Let's get a little bit more on this one. Better to have too much than too little. Certainly you don't want either, but if you're gonna make a mistake in one direction, better to have too much. Alright, so this needs to go back on somehow. I think it was this way, I believe. Yeah, the screw holes line up, and they would not line up that way, so this is the only way it will fit. I don't think I needed to actually take the fan off, but I'll give it a quick clean since I do have it out. Groovy. So let's reinstall this. So this is guided by a pin. It marks where things go. Put that back in there. I'm not going to tighten these screws down super tight. Probably never get them off again, but I do need to put them on. And I don't know how much of this we need to reassemble to test, to see if it's even functional, but I do know yellow lights can be caused by overheating problems, so kind of hoping it was that old crappy thermal paste causing the issue. And we'll find out. All right, we'll plug the fan back in after we tuck it under this guide. And under this guide. All right. So now we need to reinstall the top board here. Currently off. We switch it to on. Right, so we have a red light. I'll push the power button. And so we have a flashing red light, and try that again. So now I'm at the point where I'm seeing a flashing red light, and I don't know what that means, so I'm going to Google it. So I'll be back. Alright, so I've done a little more research and found some things I didn't know about or remember, I guess know about. So this cable here isn't for the hard drive. The hard drive's on the side here, no problem. I did swap it out with an SSD, which I guess I should have looked to see if it would work, but same error. But this cable is for the reader up here. I guess this is a card reader. I don't know what kind of cards it reads, but perhaps that's why it's not happy with life, not having that installed. Alright, so let's plug that in. That is quite tricky to plug in, I think. Oh, maybe not too bad. Certainly not super easy, though. Also, the noise was not the optical drive. it was the fan. So the fan's rubbing on something. So that's not ideal, but let's plug in the card reader, see if we get power. No, still not. So that wasn't the cause of that. So from what I saw, flashing red light, 3 beeps means general hardware error. I don't think there's any code given anywhere to tell you which particular piece of hardware is not working, but it really could be anything. So I'm going to go through and spend a little bit of time looking at things in more detail. All right, so I am back, having completed some research on PlayStation 3s, and it seems like what we have here is probably a machine in need of a reball. I don't have a reball set up, so I'm just going to try some hot air reflows of it instead. Successfully done hot air reflows on Xbox 360s in the past, so hopefully we have some luck with this one. And the thing with reflows is that they don't typically last forever. It can get the system working for a bit, but certainly not a permanent solution. But we'll give it a try here, see if there's any life in the system still. I do have a hot air rework station here, so that'll make things easier than trying to do like the oven method or, you know, just the heat gun, which I've done in the past, but certainly not ideal. So I got everything taken apart here. So I just kind of want to cover up any components around the area where I'll be applying heat to prevent those from being damaged. I'm going to do some of that. Some over here. I think that's probably going to be enough, just to make sure we don't cook anything that doesn't need to be cooked. Next up, we need to remove the thermal paste that I just put on. Which again was the exact right amount. Perfect application of thermal paste. Now, I might put some flux around these. I don't think it's really going to get underneath them. I think that's asking too much of the flux, but I'll give it a try. Certainly won't hurt anything. Gunk. Just kind of right around the edge of them. Maybe it'll make its way in there, although I doubt it highly. Alright, flux applied. I'll turn on my hot air rework station. Cord untangled for it. Now let's start heating these chips. I'll start with the YLOD synthesizer. That's the graphics chip. Call that good for now. So let the hot air workstation cool down, and we'll let the board cool down. So after it has a chance to cool, I'll be back and put it back together and see if we made any difference here. All right, I've got it reassembled back to the point where we can test it at least. So we got it plugged in. I've got HDMI plugged in. I'll flip the switch and we'll hit the power button and see what happens. Well, it didn't immediately shut off. That's a good sign. Oh, look, we're getting PS3 logo. Excellent. Oh, well, now I need to see if I can find a game and a controller, and we can see if this thing is actually working. All right, so as you can see, continues to work. Turns out I didn't have a PS3 controller or a PS3 game here in my basement. I do have some somewhere else, but nothing convenient. I did find this generic USB controller. While I can navigate a little bit, I can't move down or right. It only goes up and left. But it's enough to show that at least the system is working. So that's good news. So again, you know, with the reflow as compared to the reball, it's hard to say how long this thing's gonna last. You know, a reball ideally would fix it for a much longer term, but with the reflow, it could last anywhere from a few minutes to maybe even a few years. And I guess that really depends on how much heat you put through it and what kind of stress the board goes through. But anyway, I think that's going to be as far as I'm going to take this one today. So we do have it up and running, and if you have a PS3 that's broken with a similar yellow light of death, something to consider is a quick reflow of the CPU and GPU. And again, not a permanent fix by any means, but at least can get you back on your feet for a little bit. So anyway, thanks for joining my video today. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one.